Well, hello everybody. I think this is live. I don't know. Things have been so weird. It says this meeting is being live streamed. So hey, got in a little bit early just to make sure. Because you just don't know how these things are working out. So, yep, there I am. I'm live. So, hey, it was a glitch in the matrix yesterday. We were speaking truth. And the matrix doesn't like the truth. We're going to be talking a lot about history and reality. If that's an oxymoron, I don't know what is. History versus reality. It could say that reality is influenced by history, but the problem is the history isn't the reality. So, yeah, clear as mud. So, welcome everybody. Hey, F Kitty, what's up? Deborah, much love to you, darling. DC, good to see you. Lost in space. What's up, brother? Ben Greedy, hello. How are you? Miss M, greet. What finally caught live? It's a good day. Any way you look at it. Michael, good to see you as well. And Lady Ellie. Much love to you. Um, and Lady Shalise, good to see you as well. I tell you, I've got favor all over me. Someone wrote and said, got a lot of favor. Yeah, I do. Speaking of favor, speak it right over us all. Favor, baby. Man, no matter what whatever it is, if you can say, I've got favor, and particularly if you do it long enough, you're not like trying to sow the seed and look for a miracle, like whoop, you don't plant uh, a tomato seed into the ground and come the next day expecting to pick out the fruit. No, takes a little time. Think I was taught back in Bible school days that seed time and harvest time. Although there is a scripture that said the sower and the reaper will walk hand in hand. What do I know? I have to quote Aristotle because he's the man. Even, Socrates quoted him as well. It's like the one certainty that I know without a doubt, unequivocally, is that I know nothing. That I can accept. And from there, well, yeah, the world is our oyster, is it not? Lori, how you doing, Mr. Floyd? Good to see you. Susie Q, hello. Good to see you as well. And everybody else. So, hey, that was some heavy thought, right? Right from the get-go. I mean, we get right into it. So, YouTube removed another video of mine. Remember the video, what can we say it works? It's about the book on manifestations, the simple plan. Yeah, wasn't anything in there at all. But the thought police are alive and well on YouTube. So, watch it, boys and girls. Big Brother is listening. All right. So we just speak favor over them. I mean, I could be a real asshole and just, ream them through it, but that ain't worth it. You know, Along the path of life, you've got to be careful what you carry as your baggage. And the one thing I do know is that if you carry a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, um, that type of energy, A, would believe it says in the book of Proverbs, it says, anger, unforgiveness, jealousy dries the bones. And what that means is that it brings on arthritis. Wow. So, little thing about that, hey? But anyway, we we choose to simply say, no, not going to carry that. It's too heavy. It brings me down. Don't bring me down. Do, 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 do. Hey, Nina, what's up? Good to see you. Chris, hello. Timothy, what's up? Rick, hello. Good to see you. Mark. But yeah, so. Dump that shit off, man. You know, I hitchhiked across the country. Oh, man, I was 17. Hitchhiked with a friend of mine. What an adventure. And, you know, back in those days, the backpacks we had, well, I guess they were pretty good. But you certainly learn very quickly what to carry, what is essential, and what you don't need. Because what you don't need is weighs your ass down. Voiceover, what's up? Much love to you as well. So hey, oh, in this enclave, you know, we just kind of just say, no, man. You know, our natural form is the beauty that we have. It's not weighed, it's not supposed to be this burden. And some people actually begin to stoop because of that. No, we're going to smile. We're going to love. We're going to speak favor. We're going to look at things. We're going to question everything. And we're going to realize that in this journey, there really isn't anything as an absolute truth. Fact is, just my humble opinion, I don't believe truth exists in this realm. Now, having said that, the real possibility is that there may be an infinitesimal amount of truths, that one truth is no greater or triumphs over another truth. It may be that there is a trillion upon 100 trillion truths that are reality within this realm. Or you could just simply take the look, everything's a lie. Find whichever one you really want to do. It's like the doubt thing, remember? Who knows the saying? Jackie, do you know the saying? Bad Guardian, good to see you. If you will learn to doubt your doubts, you will never doubt your doubts again. Ta-ta! So there we go. Thank you, Susie Q. She says, don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you very much. Cheers to you all. Mary Wins, how are you doing, darling? Hey, by the way, yesterday, was that not just a freaking phenomenal show? I have reached out to Vita Austin to see if we can get her on. And well, at the end of it, all of us stayed around and we had a little rap session, um, which I truly am a man of great favor to have that wisdom, that divine feminine energy. Wow, I was at my beach. But Trina tells us afterwards that it was her birthday. She didn't bother to tell us when we started that. So, Trina, we love you and happy birthday. Um, you are a joy to all of us. So, thank you. Rage Against the Machine, what's up? John Price, hello, buddy. What's up? Fractal Builder. Oh, I love that. My mind works best in very early mornings when I am rarely awake. Must I don't know. You're in another realm. I mean, my dreams of here of late have been really bizarre. I mean, bizarre. And I try to remember the fragments, the fractals that, I can. And of course, by midday, most of those things, but I can still remember the essence. It was strange, strange, strange. So, so anyway, so I've been thinking, we do that a lot here. And you look at the world today, and I hear everything about humans ascending, you know, saviors, messiahs, everything else, but the personal responsibility of the individual to save themselves. But anyway, and my wife and I were talking last night. Love my wife. I mean, found my soulmate. It's just amazing how that happens. And it happened when neither one of us were looking for it. Not to say that you can't go ahead and plan that out. I think if you write out what you're looking for in a soulmate, uh, I actually have done that before I met my lovely wife. And anyway, so we're sharing ideas back and forth. And I said, isn't it interesting when you look at what we have as written history, and depending on how you look at it and who's writing what, but I think the in order it would go is in the Western world, it would be Sumer. Now we know that there was someone else because we found the monuments, the sculptures at Gobekli Tepe. They showed a comet coming to Earth. They knew it was coming, and they purposely buried these monoliths like 20 feet in the ground and covered them up because of the result. Now, we have a correlation of that pretty much in Genesis 1:30-31, which actually should have been probably part, if you're going to chapter and verse it, would have been chapter 2, because in Genesis 1, the earth is not the same earth here today. That earth was destroyed. It was obliterated. And so we don't have any of the real records except for these cases where we find these buried monoliths or sculpture stones. And so looking at the modern era, which I would say is in the West, I would say Sumer would probably be that. Um, Indonesia, Asia, I think the Indian culture in India. The Far East would be the Chinese, that culture. Down under the world, which we would call, but just the southern part, I think the original people, the Aboriginals. So they all have a history of their own evolution, how they evolved and how they saw themselves coming into this realm. So we'll deal with primarily the Western world because unfortunately that's what's been influenced by the world. So I look at these as age of enlightenments. I would say that Sumer would have been the first in the Western world. I don't think it was the first, but at least it's the first that we have, tablets. We we know about those people. We know what their beliefs are. Today, it's very heavily influenced, with their myths and beliefs of the Anunnaki and their story of how they viewed the creation of things. And so I would say that because today, many governments still have the same foundational structure that the Sumerians had. The Sumerians were the first in agriculture. They were the first to invent the wheel. They were the first, according to them, the sail, to be able to actually sail on the sea. Big, big deal. Um, we know their irrigation systems were highly advanced. And so we have that spreading out then of that. Then you have this other story of which so many people rely on as reality, the flood, the Tower of Babel, all of that. Well, it's not in the Sumerian record. So is that just made up shit or what? I don't know. I wasn't there. But going on. So I would say then you would have Sumer, but if you look at the first dynasty of Egypt, they have a history that would have been either parallel or before Sumer. So are we talking about 1,000, 2,000 years? I don't know. You can form your own opinion. But I would say that then the Egyptians would have had an era of great enlightenment for humankind, right? If they did build the pyramids, I mean, knowledge we didn't have, understand. Then I would say definitely the continent of India, rich history there, advanced technology, um, advanced culture, highly structured societies. That's a sign of enlightenment, what you'd say, to a degree. I mean, art, architecture, the sciences. We definitely have, again, evidence with the, what I would say, the Chinese continent, uh, and the subsequent regions there, long history, dragons, um, Great Wall. I mean, you know, they say that the wall was not designed to keep the hoarders from coming in, it was to keep you from going out. But um, so all this period, I'm coming to a point to this. So again, in the Western world, then we would have Babylon, right? I think the next major move would have probably have been, well, depending how you look at this, but I would say Alexander the Great, right around 333 BCE, uh, dramatically changed culture, conquered the Western known world. Um, Apparently, when he got to India, he got smart, died as well, as we all know. But then you look at that, and then the Greeks, that time period, great enlightenment again. Um, and a common factor to all this is that you did not have a dominant mind thought, a religion. You had many different beliefs, but they were able to coincide. They were not so much in competition. It more the fact that you had individuals who would make their decisions or based on whatever. And there was this ability for coexistence of sometimes dramatically opposing belief systems. That's a sign of enlightenment, right? I mean, you have human beings who are intelligent enough to realize that it's not just one way. It's many different ways. So continuing on from that, I think the next one would be the Roman period. No doubt, you know, science advanced, art, literature, um, engineering, the sciences. These are all signs of an enlightened culture. And when you see this sprinkled throughout this, we had, conflicts, but again, it wasn't every individual against themselves. It wasn't this um, unification of beliefs. Rome changed that. Roman culture, as we know, we've studied, is they were polytheist, many different gods, many different beliefs, and it seemed to work just fine until we began to see the end of that Enlightenment era, maybe that moment of golden, the golden era of, that's the way I could see it. Um, we hit a peak, we as a species, and then the walls came tumbling down. We entered in when the Roman government, the empire collapsed. Um, well, took everything down, everything. And oddly enough, when that empire began to collapse, we know, if depending on your point of view, I take the position that they were looking at long-term futures here. I contend that there could have very well been a foreign enemy, we would call it an alien presence, that came in, and lo and behold, whether you want to say it was providence or well implemented, the beginning of an organized religion called Christianity took over. And immediately when that mindset took over, we as a culture, particularly in the Western world, which impacted, it was like a pathogen, excuse me, we went into what was called the Dark Ages. Thousands of years of so-called enlightenment gone. The ability for the sciences gone. Literature gone. But there was the prominence of this new belief system. And this new belief system, wherever it went, it brought the Dark Ages in. I contend it was the false light. We're still in the Dark Ages. Our natural ability of evolution, of how we were designed, we would have invented anything, because even in those medieval times, all the way up and through the Renaissance, we had those momentary points of where architecture was concerned. We know that this this false light does not like science. It represses it. It represses anything that is a thought against it. And we, as a species, have paid that price. And again, how can we say that the digital age is the age of enlightenment? It's not. It is our enslaver. Obviously, even by the antics of this platform, coming in and not making a definitive decision, but, they say, well, we would think. Well, so do I think. But the whole point is that this digital age is, one point of view says it's the end age. We will not survive the digital age. It is the epitome of the false light. Because you think about this, if you say that, and that's what I am saying as an opinion, that this thing called Christianity, this religion, its one goal was to convert every human on the planet. Now think about that. What do we say if a government is hell-bent on dominating all of its citizens, and then it goes out and it starts wars and conquest, and you have to convert to that way of thinking of a government? Well, we call it communism, Marxism, socialism. We have a lot of isms behind it. Isms are just like religion as well. Why? They're twins. And so you think about the goal, and there's very few religions that Luciferians, they don't seek to convert everybody. They don't want everybody. Satanists don't go out to convert everybody because they don't want everybody. But it's amazing how many people just by default seem to go that way if you take the construct. But anyway, the point is, so you have this agenda. And so wherever this plague went, it was met with death, destruction. The only thing I can say about religion is that it takes free will out of the equation. You're only supposed to think one way. That's the Dark Ages. That is the anti-enlightenment. There's no enlightenment in it. It is exactly the antithesis of what we would call today, you know, ascension. We're enlightened. I don't think we are. It appears by the way that you can see how humanity is acting today. You've got multiple wars across the globe. Why do humans do that? Why do we seek war instead of peace? Why do we seek and promote hate over love? Why do we promote ignorance, suppression of free thought over free thought? Could be that free will is just merely an illusion that we basically are playing with ourselves and hoping that it is true. In the digital age, there is no free will. There's the illusion of it. We're all influenced by something. Now, people can argue and say, no, I have free will. Well, I'm not going to disagree with you. I mean, if that's what you feel, then yeah, it helps soothe, I think, the reality. I mean, in this country, we just had on Monday was tax day. Think about that. The religion that I was so much attached to had a tax. Yeah. For the privilege of believing it cost you 10% of everything you owned and made. Really good business model. That's truly evergreen. You know, it's a business model that revenues never stop. Why? You have to pay your tithes. You have to pay your pittance. Yeah. Because you, by your nature, are broken. You, by your nature, do not have the ability to even understand what enlightenment is. You have to go through an intermediary in order to receive that enlightenment. And if you look at today's world, again, you know, the greatest fear of our generation, well, particularly the last three generations, and maybe going back further, you know, you've got that whole Middle East powder keg. I mean, if it goes off, chain reaction, baby. We have in the United States the folly of the current administration. And listen, you know, this administration has been foolhardy, you know, in so many ways, but actually, this has gone back on many administrations. We are now a nation that's in bankruptcy. If you've been looking at the price of gold, it's an indicator of much more reality than what is being said in the press, the media. We know today that the media, no matter which side you look, is so heavily biased, you can't find the truth in any of it. It is so bigoted, so highly politically charged that the polar, they can't touch each other. They repel now. Used to be a sense that there was the idea that opposites attract. No. And we have, when this financial collapse takes place, and it's going to happen, most people are going to be completely caught off guard by it. Due to the policies of, in the United States, it is absolutely reshuffling the deck. Now, that always lends very badly for the natives. Never works out well. And you look at this at the same time, you have, and the two-party system is actually the same party. And the one thing that they all want to claim to is that they have anchors in a certain religious belief system, which, if you know the material, somebody's lying. And getting back to the media, I mean, this whole thing about misinformation, disinformation, it's predicated upon who's doing the defining. Because all information would, in essence, be disinformation or some sort of misinformation. Humans are ignorant. Look at our politicians. They are very ignorant. They're not enlightened. You don't see when so-called evil is present, do you see people of integrity, of honor, stepping forward? It's gone. You don't see in any case, in any way, an alternative way of looking at things. Well, do we really need war? No. We all know you need peace. But peace is not what's being spoken about or sought after. And in the meantime, you and I are the pawns. We will suffer the effects of the ineptitude of those leaders today, which they are not. And many of them will claim to be Christians. Many of them will claim to be Muslims, or you'll see them standing up there. They're goddamn liars. That's what they trade in, is lies, deception, deceit. That's the dark ages. That's the darkening of the mind. Yet, those of us who think we're enlightened, our message goes nowhere. Very few ever make the effort to determine, well, if I'm not enlightened, then where am I? And is it possible for me to become enlightened? And then the question is, enlightened to what? What am I supposed to be enlightened to? Truth? Well, define truth for me then. How is that truth, or the supposed truth that's being told to me? Many times when you start looking into the truth, it's anything but the truth. So how is that path going to lead to enlightenment? We love to hear these people talk about diversity, equity, inclusion. It's just the opposite. You've got one party who says, well, the other party is destroying democracy, but that very party who's saying the other party is the one that's doing it. We would much rather believe a lie than the truth. But whose truth? By who and what standard? And as a spiritual being, because I do believe that that is what I am, whether I have a soul or not, I don't think really matters. But I see this, and I was caught up in it. Which brings me to the whole point of this, is that we're still in the dark ages. We've never emerged from it. In fact, we may have all the trappings of that which will eventually do us in, and we measure that as somehow success. We use that somehow as a measuring rod to say, well, look how we've advanced. But the truth is, it appears we're running backwards. Oh, yeah, we're learning about how certain things work. How long did it take us to figure that out? 10,000? 100,000 years? Or has this merely a rinse and repeat? Which then again would suggest that there is no enlightenment. There's this false light. When you are dead, when you die, are you going to go to the light? That's what everyone else says. Really know what the light is? From a neuroscience perspective, that light is the neurons in your brain imploding. And you're seeing that. The best description of death, if you get a chance, watch that Midnight Mass. The very last episode, I almost had to write it down as it was done because it was poetic. And she is describing what death for her is. And it's the loosening of these molecules, these electrons. And I no longer am concerned about keeping them together. And as I touch the earth from which I came from, they begin to merge back into those other electrons in my brain. Oh, I love my brain. It's been such a prize. But in that moment of my death, I'm too busy to remember. I must remember. And as each neuron implodes and lets off its essence of light, I'm gathering the light, and the light begins to increase to such a point that I cannot see the light. And the only thing I remember is that I am. That is death. Nothing to be afraid of. And that may be that moment, that epiphany of the ages of your existence, that true enlightenment comes. And that is, of all your memories, of everything you have done, you remember that you are. But you may have another approach, another opinion. I just happen to find that one, I think, is probably the most accurate of what it really is. And then that great mystery is, how does that separation take? Oh, we've got philosophies and ideologies and immunologies and all the ologies out there as to what that is. But really, we don't know. We can only guess. We can only observe. And really, if we don't know what we're observing, then how can we understand? And if we can't understand what we're observing, then how do we have the ability to comprehend? We're still in the dark ages. I think we desperately want out. And we see the madness today of these madmen and women who are so-called leaders. You and I must realize that their minds are darkened. They don't have the ability to comprehend these things. They don't care. They're too far gone. Because if war is the only answer, financial destruction, destroying a country is sanity, I don't want any part of it. Because your sanity is completely insane to me. It makes no sense, has no meaning. It's what I love about this group here. It's why we study the occult. I mean, plenty of other channels out there where you can have all the religious books you want. But that's the false light. There's no way that that can be the real light of the world. No. I to be honest with you, I don't know what the light is. I've only seen the false light. The gift of my brain, and that comes with it, is this thing called imagination. That I can use my brain to begin to manifest the essences of my spirit into thought. And I can imagine what would be the true light. But I don't have any point of reference. I try. I can read this belief, this thought, this idea, but I've come to discover they're just like me. They're trying to place themselves in all of this because every written word is the thought of another. And it only becomes the written word when I accept it to be as that. I have very little evidence to show me otherwise. Thank you, Mark. So it's like, yeah. I mean, and this is why we meet here. We get to talk. I mean, I've got the other books that we're getting into, but, sometimes it's just good to have these quiet reflections of, none of this makes sense. It just doesn't. And I often do wonder, what does that true light looks like? I don't know. Again, I can think, it's the problem. My problem is with a lot of the occult studies is that I've never met a god or goddess, angel or demon that I considered to have to bow down to worship. It's like, no, I'm sorry. You know, if anyone's going to worship, they should worship me because I'd be the first one to say, stop that. Man, again, this false light, I'm supposed to bow down. I'm supposed to be subservient to these beings that have stood by for thousands of years and allowed this to happen. And they were supposed to be, the smart ones, the ultra intelligent ones. Yet, I lived my whole life waiting for the signs, waiting for the prophecies. And man, I tell you, I wielded that sword of righteousness and judgment. And then I see others that in a lot of these grimoires are just frankly grotesque. And I think to myself, I wouldn't associate with anyone in the living that would be like that. I damn sure ain't going to associate with something in the undead realm. If that's where that is at, that ain't a part of me. I have no desire to be a part of that. To me, it's just absolutely fallacy. It's stupidity. It's ignorance on the highest display. You tell me I'm going to have to sacrifice my blood in order to make something work? Fuck you. It's my blood. You ain't got no right to it. Seen or unseen. Because I really do believe I am a god. I don't have to submit myself to any other god. That's why I'm a god. Oh, all the evidence would say that I'm enslaved by a god. But I will, in this realm and the next one to come, stand within my own truth. Because that is really, in the end, folks, that's the only truth I know. Now, all that truth may be of absolute falsity. That's cool. I have admitted and accepted the fact that I know nothing. And I find comfort in the fact that that's probably where I'm going to be at, even at the end of this cycle. Oh, I've gathered within my basket many different things, but things are not always what they seem either. And getting back to the occult and where magic is concerned, if magic requires something that is so profane to me, then it's not magic. I don't believe that it has to work that way. Why would it? If there's true enlightenment, then there has to be something that is above all that. I don't know what it is. I'm a seeker of it. It's what keeps my curiosity. Who knows? I may find it one day, might find it in the next, you know, life cycle and maybe the next 10,000 light cycle. I don't know. But for me, these are one of the places that I have found myself to be. And at first, it's very unsettling. But there is a certain solace within it. There's a peace. Sometimes my mind can't apprehend that peace, but I know it's there. I can sense it. And I somehow sense that of all these other gods, these angels, these demons, the goddesses that we speak of here, I don't know, it's just me, but I think there's a greater respect for the immortal mortal within me to come to this point. And I believe that that respect many times is manifested through their energies, but that's just me. I have no idea what the rest of the folks think. Robert Scott, how you doing, brother? Says, I see the God within you, Wayne. I am never mindful. Try to stand incorrect situation knowing one. Yeah, yeah. I hear you, Joe. I got you. Hey, Jenny, how you doing, darling? Gaia, how you doing? Man, everyone's in there. This is what I love about this group. You know, we'll find each other on the other side. There's just no doubt about it. I mean, there is that connectivity is what I just read there, and it's so true. Um, well, Mary Wynn, same are you. You are a wonderful being. I've actually met Mary. Yeah. Saw the show with Robert V. and lucky they were talking, you know, will we recognize each other, even though we haven't met physically? It's like, oh yeah, I have a feeling. And then again, I don't know what you may have awaiting over there. I think there's going to be a banquet party for myself, but that's just me. Hey, voiceover. She says, I truly hope that there's a much better place for all of us to go than better than Earth, and where there is peace and love, understanding and high respect to people of each other. I agree. And you know something on that, Stephanie, I think as well, I think Earth, the goddess, I think she may long for that as well. I mean, you know, when I look at Earth, and she is a goddess and she is a she, I see the parallel with her and Lilith. I mean, the earth today is burdened by our nonsense. There are times when I'm outside and I really begin to think about this, I start weeping because I wouldn't be strong enough. I mean, I'm a god in training. I can withstand a lot, but when I think about what our goddess, who's allowed us to have life in this realm, she has given of herself unconditionally. And all we have done is to harm her, to hurt her. Men, in their arrogance, think they can actually say they own land, own buildings. How dare we? And we continually to rape her, we continually to decimate her, and yet she continues to love us. Now, that may be enlightenment, maybe the truest of all enlightenment. Sacrificing beyond the limit of sacrifice, but she does. She is the envy of the solar system, I dare say probably a lot of the galaxy. And we've had the privilege of being here, but I believe as well there are other forces that have taken that. Again, this is what I'm saying. and they have put us in the dark age. I mean, it is my desire to see our species emerge out of this. We're about to have the cicadas here. And, I was thinking about this, that don't we all look for that day when we all can emerge, into whatever that light is? I don't know what it is. I mean, I have no doubt that it exists. Tomorrow, I'm having Bernadette on, Goddess Sabina. We're going to be talking about uh, the divine feminine. And, you know, if it wasn't for the divine feminine, there would be no masculine. It's just flat out that. And again, I think that's part of that dark age. There was a time when we, as a species, either praised, I don't know, maybe worshiped, honored, reverenced the goddess. And I think that Earth within herself was quieted her. But if you look at this scientifically as well, we're in the middle of a magnetic pole excursion. Now, that's just got bad news written all over it. But again, there has to, I think, be a release of this. And I think a lot of that is coming as well. And then I think about those who say, well, I truly am enlightened. I have all this power. I'm a powerful witch, a warlock, sorcerer, whatever. And I go, okay, and here's another opinion. So I look at all this magic. I look at all this so-called power, the occult, these other beings, these so-called demons and angels and what have you. And folks, I'll tell you where I just come to it. What can they do for me? I mean, it seems like it's me that they're more interested in. And I think about this and I go, is it really all about just simply being rich, having power over another person, having, is that really, I mean, how debased is that? I mean, why would you want to have magic? Why would you want to become a practicing witch? If it's not for the betterment of who and what you are and those around you, then that truly is a false light to me. And, it's like this as well. There was a time when I was an over-trusting person. It was within my nature just to naturally trust people. That's very dangerous. Because, unfortunately, not everybody else has that same mindset. And when you go out, as we all know, Cat Stevens said it's best, it's a wild world out there. Yeah. But in any case, I look at this as well, and when I read these grimoires and what have you, I think this is interesting. But then you get into that other side of the equation, and I'm going, no. So you're going to make me rich. Okay, think about this. Let's say your desire, and I believe that there are forces that can make you rich. Absolutely do. You can do it for yourself. I think you can have those unseen forces that can help and assist you. But here's where you get in life and you go, all right, so you want to be rich. Define what rich is. I mean, if you make that request in magic or in a prayer or supplication, to some spirit being or whatever and saying, I want to be rich, you've already condemned yourself. Because you're assuming that that spirit is going to think for you as to what does rich mean. What? That you have money in your bank account. How much money? How are you going to do that and not bring, if it's, for instance, if you're just using magic and all of a sudden money starts appearing, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. So how is this going to come to you? How much money is enough money? I mean, did you make sure to ask the genie or the demon? Well, I need to consider inflation. I need to take it as well as the devaluation of the currency that I'm using. I mean, it gets complicated. But you want to be rich. So what does that mean? You want a bigger house. Why? Who's going to clean it? Now, if you're rich, you say, well, I have enough money to heat it, air condition it. Really? If you're truly rich and wealthy, you understand that those type of excesses are really, truly a fool's paradise. So let's say you want to be rich. Let's say you say, well, I want to win the lottery. Okay, everybody wants to win the lottery. So you sacrifice, you make all the conditions, and you win the lottery. But the next day you get diagnosed with cancer. Now what are you going to do? Money ain't going to be able to buy you much health. And so I take the attitude, the universe is there. If there's a need in my life, then there is the access to find that. And it's best that I train myself to learn how to use those forces and not to have excess, but have just enough. That's truly wealth. And if you have health, you're the richest person out there. Bonnie says, when I have more than I need, I give it away. Yeah, that's true. Kirk says, I'm already rich in many ways. The money is a placeholder. That's a very good. Money is really just a tool. It can be a real tool at other times. But that is so true. Yeah, that's why I love this group. You know, we seem to have this. I mean, and this is really, I think, maybe this is the path to enlightenment. I don't know. You know, I still hear the Proverbs, store your treasures up in heaven. I just have to define what heaven really means, right? Because, heaven for many people would be hell, whereas hell would be heaven for many others. I don't know. And the fact that neither one of them exist because we invented them. And there's the other part. So you've got that thing going. Talk about the false light. I mean, look at what's happened in this situation. Since we've been in the dark ages, everything is dark. Everything. We don't teach it to our children. If we were truly an enlightened species, we would, it is a travesty, and it will be a curse upon this generation of the robbing of what we're doing with our youth. I know here in the United States, the education system has failed. It's an embarrassment and should be abolished and rebuilt. We don't teach our young people what they need to know. We don't teach them about life. We don't teach them how to begin to approach this. This is all part of the dark ages. We deliberately handicap them before they even have a chance to go out. And thank goodness for people like Jay Rawlings, who's able to come out and infiltrate and ignite the imagination. I hope many of those children that read those books growing up, that they continue to pursue magic, their own personal magic. Yeah, I'd believe in magic. Been doing it most of my life. All of us have. And this is the hope for a channel like this. Yeah, we teach the occult, we teach these things, and we read the books, but where else are they going to be able to get this? Where else can they come and find out that it's not just this way? There's a whole world of opportunity and another way of thinking. And if we could get these rotten, corrupt politicians, bureau people out and fill their stead with enlightened people, or maybe those are at least on the path and understand that it's not about self-worth. It's not about making yourself rich. It's not about war. It's just the opposite. Wow. Imagine a world like that. Yeah. Anyway, thank you all for listening to my rant today. But and then, so Lynn asked me, she says, so what's your solution? She said, I agree with you. I pointed out everything that you look at, the Renaissance era, the Industrial Revolution, all of this, all the way to the digital age. And the digital age, sadly, is our enslaver. There's no freedom in the digital revolution. Technology is our undoing. Look at what it's doing to us already. It's diminishing us. We have people who can't remember phone numbers now unless their phone tells them. We got people who can't remember what they said yesterday unless their phone, their little black box, the black mirror will talk to them and tell them. So that becomes the repository for their memories. Now that freaks me out because that gives me the heebie-jeebies. They're storing our memories because we're a species that has amnesia. We don't know where we came from, and we don't know where we're going. All right, everybody. Loving your neighborhood only works if your neighborhood is like-minded. Isn't that the truth? Hey, Elderberry, what's up? Thank you, Jenny. And when y'all die and find out, you will wish you didn't follow the reprobate way of life. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it's like, what's your cup of tea? Some people don't even drink tea. I don't know. No rant. Well, thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate that. Yeah. All right. So tomorrow, uh, special guest. Looking forward to having Bernadette on. You've seen her all in is Goddess Sabina. So I'm looking forward to that conversation. So everyone, much love. Gaia, how are you doing? Appreciate you. Hey, Gilbert. Military jets are blasting around here like there's no tomorrows. It's odd that you say that, brother. I haven't seen anything here basically since we moved here. Of course, Fort Leonard Wood is not that far away. Yeah. I mean, if this whole Israel and Iran thing goes off, yeah, people. Let's do John Lennon here. Let's give peace a chance. Um, The Nina says join her for Hump Day message, 3 p.m. All right, Deborah. Can angels fly? Tarot, how are you? And stealing our dreams by capturing our individual creativity. I don't know how that would, but I agree with you. Please thank Lynn for sharing her love for you with the tribe. Thank you, Robert. Um, yeah, yeah, she's a special one. Grace, how are you? Good to see you. All right, everybody. Much love. I think Jimmy says, how about a beer? Yeah. I mean, are you a lager guy or, yeah, it's like I used to drink beer. I don't do it anymore, but it was fun. Klaus is apparently in the hospital on his deathbed. Wow, the chat, I did not know that. I wonder what they are looking forward to. I mean, my mind goes, okay. I mean, you're going to have to deal with it yourself, but what do you say to yourself? I mean, maybe he really does believe all that. I don't know. All right. As Miss Kitty says, thank you, all you seekers. I appreciate y'all. See y'all tomorrow. Have yourself a great day. Tune in to see Nina. And thank you for the gift. Y'all send such wonderful energy, and it is an energy gift. And I do in kind reciprocate, and it's the sharing of thoughts. And if any of y'all ever want to come on, come on. Love to share your thoughts as well. Jenny says there is actually tech that gets to your dreams. like, it's like, damn it! I thought I locked the door. But you're right, Jenny. All right. Much love, everyone. Until we meet again, always speak favor to yourself. Love yourself. That's the best thing that Kaz says. Love yourself. Fall in love with yourself again. That's a good way of doing it.